I'm joined here by my parents, Peter and Gwen, who will have a few dream experiences and things to share later. And also Pearce is here too. And I was chatting with Pearce earlier on the Skype before this, and we decided that he would start off with introducing himself and sharing some of his dream experiences and his other experiences, and he had a few questions for Duane too. So, if you're there, Piers, take it away.
When I was young, I used to practice martial arts, karate, and before you used to do a training session, you obviously have to warm up, and at the end of the training, at the end of the warm up, you have to do like a kind of like meditation. It'd say sit, like get in a certain position, and you'd sit, and it'd say right, connect with your chi, which the Japanese call your inner life force, is your chi. So that was what you tried to accomplish when you was sitting after you warm up before you'd actually start training. And well, I used to enjoy it. It used to put you in the zone, and I used to enjoy that bit. So I was just one Saturday afternoon. I wasn't playing out. I was a kid. I was in my bedroom drawing, and I was a bit bored. Felt a bit bored, so I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get on my bed and I'll just practice meditation, be connecting with my chi. I was really young at the time, and I'd done it. I was in my room, and I'd done it, and next it was easy. It was easily done. I just well, I used to find it easy anyway. Just like switch off and just like I used to imagine like a black roller blind in my head and above my eyes, like just being rolled shut, and just everything went to black, and I just sit there and I guess meditate. Well, I was doing it one time in my room. Yeah, the very next thing that happened, like I was someplace else. I was I was definitely someplace else. I woke up and I was like sitting like you imagine a Buddha or yoga to sit. And I was in total blackness, and I was in amazement, obviously. And I looked down, and all I could see was like I can't really describe. I wanted to draw it, but at the same time, I thought there's no way I could draw it. It was just too fantastic. It was too brilliant. I didn't have the color. I didn't have half the stuff that I wanted to draw. To what I was looking at, and it wasn't how you'd imagine. You'd go off and you fly in space. I was in total blackness, and it was like I was at the very top, and I couldn't go no further. And I was just sat there floating. And I was looking down, and it was all this light, this brilliant light, and it was of like, it wasn't just golden light or white. It was like every color. It was amazing. It was awesome. And then the next time I was just watching it because I didn't really know what to do. I was just like, am I here? Is this real? Am I actually seeing this? And then I was there. I was up in the corner. It was like I couldn't move I couldn't get any higher, and it was just total. It was like you think it was like you can look out and you see stars and all. It's not that. It's just total black. And then I looked down, and then I just seen him. It was one in my peripheral. It was like I just looked down, and I was like above it, and it was just unbelievable. And it's always stayed with me, always my whole life until I read something last year. And basically, just then, that same moment, I wasn't looking down from that position. I was looking down at myself from a higher position. If you get what I mean, I was like, I went to another body. And then I was looking down at that body, looking down at what I think to be. I don't know what it was. It was just awesome light, and I was just wondering, if I was at the void, the deep dark border, because of what I read from what Duane written, it sounds very much like that, and I don't know. It was awesome, and it just stayed with me, and I was like, that was my very first experience, and I was like viewing me, but I was the view, if you understand what I was the view, and then I was viewing me, viewing everything what I was looking down on. It was awesome. And it just stayed with me forever. And then I seen one of your videos last year with Duane was talking, or it was some right. I've seen it written, what is written as well. And I believe I was there, yeah, and it was unbelievable, yeah, it was unbelievable, it was awesome. But I wasn't there for long, and I didn't. It's not like I had control. I was just looking, you know. I wasn't even thinking to like, oh, how do I work it in here, or I want. It was just like it's quick. If you understand what I mean. Or 1 minute I was looking down at that, and then I was looking down at me, looking. It was wow. It was, yeah, and it's always stayed with me. I never forgot. And I just thought, did I just make that up in my head? Was it, you know? But it was like too brilliant. It was too real. But yeah, to like imagine, you know, imagination can go places, but it was just it was unbelievable. Well, it was awesome as well, and it just stayed with me forever. And yeah, it'd be nice if I, you know, to find out if I knew where I was, where I went to. You know, it was awesome. And that's just one. That was one experience. That was my very first. Well, I've had some since started been seeing the new you. Yeah, it's fantastic. Totally changes, yeah. But yeah, I've had experiences in the physical as well. It's like I was like, say, I don't know, 6, 7 months ago, maybe a bit more. I was well, I wanted to stop smoking weed, and I was at my bedroom window one night. Crazy, unbelievable, and I had my weed box. It was, and like I had my weed box, and it was like, you know, you get a bookend, and it's like between two bookends. My plastic weed box was. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Can hear you just fine.
Great stuff. Right, I was like, I've been kept telling myself, yeah, I'm going to pack up smoking weed. Going to pack up smoking weed. Same with the roll-ups and that. And then one time it was about 6 months ago, and I said in my head, just to myself one night, I said in my head, I says, oh, I wonder what's worse for you, weed or just tobacco. And as soon as I said it, as soon as I thought, I didn't say it because I thought it was a thought. And as soon as I thought it, I got the strongest smell. You know, if you've ever been into a tobacconist's, well, there's one in town in Nottingham Town Centre, and it's like that, and it just smelled like I was in a tobacco field and they were like cutting the crop, and that's how strong the smell was. And then at the same time as that happened, and like bear in mind this is 12:30 at night, I'm outside my bedroom window. It's dark and it's cold, you know, it's horrible. And at the same time that happened, my box, what I keep my weed in, it sprung off my bedroom dresser, which is next to my bed, and it hit me basically. It jumped about 1.5 feet, 2 foot, and basically jumped in front of me on the windowsill. And my box of weed did, just as I was, you know, had that thought, which is worse, like weed or ash, or tobacco. And yeah, that happened. That was crazy. That was out of this world. I told my wife, she was sat next to me. She just gave me a funny look. But yeah, that's what happened. That was I believe it was well, I shouldn't say believe, but yeah, I think it was one of the guys instructing me. Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to know Duane's thoughts on it, on both of them. Well, I'll just share if possible.
Well, that's a lot, young man. Yeah, your experience there, you're a brave kid, and it's recognition. So as you've gone through the experiences, and many people do, many times they think it's a dream or it's their imagination. But no, everything is an actual experience. Even if you imagine it, it's an actual experience. The imagination just simply brings something in to you, if it's a thought or an idea or whatever. These are, they're all initiated by our awareness, and we decide the experience. The end result is recognizing the experience, how to relate to it and recognize it. That's all. So, no, it's just very simple what you're doing, and you're deciding that you've decided to go through these steps and experiment, etc. And so it comes about instantly. So, yeah, you can be set into the deep dark border. That makes sense, as you were explaining the first one, simply because, and then seeing your other bodies But at the same time, wherever the light is, it doesn't matter up, down, or sideways. Everything really with the real universe is, you might say, is upside down to creation. But everybody has their own experiences. And, as you're seeing this in your own way, again, people see the light. They say, oh, gee, I saw the light. But, many times it's the astral light, but I would say that yours was more than that, and that, it's recognizing what that is. So you need a little help there. So here you are. So now that you've gone through that, just like we've gone through our life to this point, we have all these experiences, and now we start to recognize why we're here and what we're doing and how to figure it out, to see better so that we can, continue and go through the process of creation and eventually surpass it altogether. So, that's the basic idea of what you're experimenting with and experiencing, young man. And yeah, it's all fine. And you sorted out how you do. So little by little, it's kind of like, again, I've created the references, and there's many references. So as you read and study, these are references, and all of a sudden you start to figure out your experiences better. You see it better. And just like we go to school to get an education, we start to figure out the world here better according to how the world has created itself, according to the systems, etc. That's one way of seeing it. And so now you're figuring out yourself accordingly, and you have the real side guidance. And, even when that comes in, the boys, they show you certain things and reference certain things in a certain way. But at the same time, just like the teacher in school that's up there at the head of the class, they give you the assignment, but they don't tell you everything. And so that part you figure out, and where you decide to be. And, what I see it as, learning to recognize a real purpose in life instead of just flying around and experiencing things. We do that too, but at the same time, we see the bigger picture, and that's recognizing the is and the real universes. So when you're in that deep dark border, and you're having the experience, and many people go for that position, they don't really realize and recognize what else there is. So they need some guidance, a lot of guidance in that area. So again, now that you have the experiences, now you decide how to put them together, and you decide how to, become more aware and seeing a real purpose with this or not. That's your choice. So basically that refers to everything that you said there. It's thank you for sharing.
Thank you. What did, before I started singing the New You, I was getting a lot of years actually. I was getting a lot of problems with ghosts. Before I started singing, as soon as I started singing the New You, I don't get nothing, absolutely nothing comes anymore, or whatever was there was gone. And it was getting quite bad, at one time when all of the kids was in the house. Because I got a lot of kids, but it was getting quite bad. Really, is quite as bad as I don't know where it's from. I don't know from the lower astral, but it was. My wife, she's always told me she's been haunted since a certain time. She was told by some clairvoyant, from Charlotte, from clairvoyant. I never really believed it, but I'd had my own experiences. But I'd say in the last maybe 6 years, it was like really, really bad. I've been attacked, physically attacked by twice or 3 times. And this property that I'm at, since I started singing the New You, and I found the new presentation. No, absolutely nothing. Really nothing at all. And that's another bonus to it, because it don't really bother me, because I don't really getting scared. I got scared one time when it scratched me. I didn't even feel it, and I actually went tore through my clothing as well, and I didn't even feel it. And I went back upstairs, and then my wife showed me. And yeah, and then yeah, I've had parts. I had one where it was basically imitating people in my house. Basically, my family members. It was imitating them, and yeah, that was quite scary. But it wasn't just me who seen them do it as well. It was you know, my wife as well, and a few of the children. But yeah, since I started singing the New Year, it's none of it. I mean, I've done that. What is it? You get them stage sticks and all that, and put them around the house and tell them all to get out and all that. But I wasn't really scared of them anyway. I wasn't, and because I was daft when I was a kid. I'd done one of them stupid, what do you call it? I don't even like saying them. And my wife said I'm not allowed to say it in the house. Ouija boards when I was a kid, and I got told then by a spirit that it was going to kill me. I thought it was just stupidness and that, but and then like I said, the past 5-6 years, it was getting quite bad. You know, the presence, whatever it was, and yeah, since I started singing the New Year, no stress from it. It's totally gone. It's totally disappeared. So yeah, there's that as well. But it's just fantastic. The New Year, it's just it's brilliant. It's awesome. I can't say enough about it. Yeah, and thank you, Duane, again. Thank you.
Well, thank you for stepping up. You know, it's you're one more, and it all adds up. And so again, you know, it's very simple, but it's a big picture. Simply becoming more aware. So we've bypassed all these things that seem to be absolutes into a position where it becomes endlessness, and you continually become more aware, and you define yourself. And again, it's very important to recognize a real purpose with the whole of life, and not just you know, chase our personal life around. We'll still have that until we don't. But again, it's like a car. Driving a car, but eventually when you learn to fly, hey, you don't need the car anymore, do you?
Well, I wanted to start with sharing this. It was like when I first started singing the New You, just before coming into the but when I first started, just before I found the New You presentation, I used to have quite severe lower back and hip pain, and within about 3 months of singing the New You, that it completely cleared up. So I just wanted, I think I mentioned that before, but that sort of stems into something that happened quite recently as well, where I found I suddenly had quite trouble with my right leg as well. It's like my whole hamstring was busted somehow, sort of thing. Almost like I'd sprained the tendon. But after about 3 months, that wasn't recovering either. And all of a sudden, when I was at work, it was almost like I felt myself letting go of something, sort of releasing some sort of idea or some restriction. I almost sort of felt it go. It was quite tangible. And then literally within the next few moments, that pain in my leg completely sort of disappeared. I thought, well, that's rather strange. But then the next day, when I went to work, I seemed to have reattached myself to this idea, which was quite strange, and the leg pain was back. I thought, oh, how very interesting. And I started playing with this for a bit. I was like, one day I was like entertaining this idea and this notion, and I had my leg pain. And the other day I was letting it go, and it was gone. But ultimately I felt, well, I'd rather not have a leg pain than have it. So in the end, I let go of this idea altogether, which wasn't a very hard thing to do. It's just a case of recognising it to do so, I suppose. And then it was gone. So that was the first thing I wanted to just say, as to speak to the healing ability of the New You sound. Yeah. I had a dream experience the other day. I did put this dream experience on one of the Skypes I did with Peter and Gwen. I think it was last week or such, where I had my nan, who was deceased for I can't remember how many years ago it is now. Quite a long time, and she actually came to me, and she was like giving me these warnings of this and that, and telling me about that she doesn't think I should be doing the new presentation, stuff like that, and she thought it was funny, and and in response to that, I felt that like Duane says, when a lot of people sort of pass on, the state of awareness that they are in when they do so is generally the same when they go into the next level. So I thought that perhaps, even though she had my best interests at heart, she perhaps wasn't in a state of awareness in which she could fully understand what the new presentation was all about. And this is actually leading to a question in a minute. Here we are. Oh yes. Yeah, because my dad, he says he feels that my nan, which is his mother, he feels is sort of there as well, and in a lot of dreams, and he felt that she was a guide for him as well. And I remember before I got into the presentation as well, I was doing a lot of astral projection as well, and my teacher was a bloke called Todd Akameses, and I remember him saying he once had an experience in which he was running around. He did an outer body, and he was on the astral, and he bumped into a character, and he was a bit little naive at the time, and so he went up to this person, and then he said to them, "Oh, are you my guide?" And the person in response looked at him quizzically, and then a sort of like a smug expression went across his face, and he went, "Why, yes," almost as though he wasn't, but he was going to play the part anyway, and it sort of leads me to this question: where I was going to ask Duane, can anybody just suddenly assume that the role of a guide? I mean, obviously they're not going to be like the real guides, where they're stemming from the real universe and have all the knowledge and awareness that they do, but literally, can somebody pass over, be in the astral, have an emotional attachment to someone that's still on the physical, and yet and decide they're going to be their guide?
Okay, that's the question, Kevin.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fun. No, you kids are fun. Well, anybody can say anything, just like they do here. So if you asked the President of the United States or the Queen, are you my guide? What are they going to say? Well, of course, son, you're my subject. You see, just like the Queen. So, when somebody comes up, and especially to certain people, they're going to acknowledge that. So this is how life is. You're swimming in the ocean of life, you might say, and you're going to meet many fish. And you're going to hear many stories. And so through all this experience, as you become more consciously aware of what's going on, and you have all these references to go by, and eventually you start to recognize what's going on. So, by the very fact that this individual asks the question of somebody, you're seeing in the astral worlds, and he comes up to somebody and says, "Are you my guide?" Well, there's just as much, if not more, deception going on in the astral world. It's kind of funny. And the boys will do that too. Many times you can ask them and they may say no. You see, because they want you to figure it out. So again, this is where, during this experience, when he's asking that question, in a way that shows his awareness, doesn't it? So did he tell you this experience he had, or what was the idea?
Well, it was at a seminar we had in London, and he was teaching us the ability, and so he basically brought up this story as one of his experiences.
Well, then, when he told that story, and he asked the individual, and the individual says, "Yes, I'm your guide," what was your impression at the time? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, I think Todd, in fact, realised that he was in fact being deceived too, because he said himself, when this person responded to him, he could tell that he was in first a bit incredulous he would be asked such a question, and then it almost like he decided to assume the role for a bit of a laugh, sort of thing. And I sort of we all sort of picked up on that as well. So,
well, what I'm saying is, if I heard someone say that, and here is supposedly your guide or your master, whatever the idea is, and then so he's actually admitting that he doesn't know who his guidance is. So what is he relaying to others? In other words, he's relaying all this knowledge to others, but in fact he doesn't know where he's at. So what makes sense with that? If I was there, I would probably got up and left the room. But anyhow, it's whatever. But again, this is why I did the Marjorie Klemp experience, to have Claudia and Sandy as witnesses and others, to show what's going on, because again, things are assumed on this side, and of course, it's okay. Everything is fine. But at a certain point, all of a sudden, like you and your friends here, you've gone through the experiences, and at a certain point, all of a sudden, you're ready for the next step if you decide to take the risk and recognize it. So I just find it very interesting that he goes into the other worlds, because most of these teachings are astral. They're doing astral projection, which is fine. It's an experience. It's very good. And this really helps you excel. Many people don't do that consciously, but for those that do, it's good. But eventually, you don't need that anymore. It's very restricting. But it shows that again, he's relating physical astral, and where's his real purpose or idea? Was it the God idea with him also, the spirit God idea with his teachings and what he was saying?
He wasn't religious in any way, and I don't think he was particularly spiritual. I mean, he really didn't have any idea of anything beyond the physical and astral, other than he was just exploring, really. So he was he was just sort of throwing himself out into the astral areas and seeing what he could find, which is, as you say, is a little bit risky.
Well, it is because you're experiencing it, and I've known other people that have done the same thing, and it's fine. It's like anything. It's like running out into traffic. Everybody does it sometimes. They want to get across the street and they're in a hurry, so they just, they run across traffic and they dodge the car. So it's kind of like that when you go into the astral realm, because, it's like going into the Star Wars bar. You want to go in there for a drink, but you don't know what's going to happen or who's going to pickpocket you or, even kidnap you and take you into the back room and etc. So, it's the astral realm is like that. Creation is like that. It's not just the astral realm, but all creation, because it is the phenomena, it's the simulator, it's the deception it is, but it's necessary, just like the physical. So we try to kind of, compare the two, but it's all the same thing. So we're in creation to see this. But, okay, I was just trying to get off of what you were saying there. But, it's interesting as people talk about these things, they get up and they talk about these things, but many times, they themselves, they're presenting something, but they themselves really don't have the answer. So they're up there talking about it. And it's kind of like David Icke. He talks about the reptilians, and he knows a certain amount, but anything beyond that and the tap lining that, he doesn't know about it. So really, in a way, he sets people up to start exploring, without real guidance. And yes, this is where funny things happen. But lucky you guys paid attention and came across here. Now you have some real guidance. Yeah.